Give us a view on what's happening in the global supply chain right now, because this is no longer just a China issue, or no longer a China issue at all, as the outbreak moves into Southeast Asia and Europe and the United States. Where are you seeing the backlogs?
Yes, you're exactly right. It started out very much as a China concern and has spread beyond that. I think one of the things where we're seeing stuff most acutely is that air freight is getting severely constricted. What people may or may not know is that a great deal of air freight travels in the belly of passenger jets. So when you cut off the travel of people between countries, you lose that capacity. And that's where you're starting to see some real restrictions. Ocean freight is still moving reasonably well.
What about air? Obviously, we know the airlines are suffering, and that can be sometimes a backup when other supply chains seize up.
Yeah, it turns out it's very, very difficult and expensive to convert passenger planes to cargo planes. So, and with 50 to 80% of the air freight capacity going with those passenger planes, when people don't want to fly or when they're not allowed to fly, as we've seen some increasing number of travel restrictions, then those flights go away and you don't have that capacity. It's a particularly acute problem now because often when you've had supply chain interruptions, goods that might have been sent by other slower routes, people often turn to air as a way to replenish inventories quickly. So it's a time when you might have been more interested in using air and it's harder to come by. We're seeing prices go up.
Meantime, President Trump saying earlier today the U.S.-Mexico border is being closed to non-essential travel. The same thing is happening on the U.S.-Canada border. Does that impact the supply chain?
I think they've been cautious and careful to exclude trade in that. So to the extent that goods are moving by train or by truck, they shouldn't have as much difficulty with that. There will also be some air shipments in there, and those will encounter those difficulties as the number of flights are reduced.
So look, we all have friends, family who in the middle of this, they're running to their grocery store, they're stocking up, they're filling their pantries. Should they be doing that? I mean, do we have a real concern that we are not going to be able to get the goods that we need in this country and depend on every day?
Yeah, well, it's certainly an understandable impulse. I think all indications are that there is enough toilet paper being produced. It's a very hard thing for the supply chains when demand all of a sudden skyrockets and they have to meet this all at once. So I think those are the strains we've been seeing, but there haven't been any indications as of yet that things are fundamentally broken there. And it does look like those goods are available. It's just a matter of how quickly can store shelves be restocked.